Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, we'll unveil the first batch of announced shows at the soon-to-be inaugurated Iron Horse Music Hall in Northampton. And we talk with their executive director, Chris Freeman.
We'll take you down the street from the Iron Horse to a butcher shop that prides itself on ethically raised, sourced, and butchered meats and has been the envy on New York expats since it opened a decade ago. A local hero spotlight on Sutter Meats on King Street.
And more of the Year of the Dragon, celebrating Lunar New Year with Linda Hill and Cecilia Chan of the Western Massachusetts Chinese Association. They'll join us to talk about their full day of Chinese New Year activities planned for this Saturday in Florence.
Plus, we'll hear from some of you with the mondegreens, eggcorns, and spoonerisms you wanted to share after our Word Nerd segment yesterday. But first...
Time for our weekly check-in with U.S. Congressman from the 2nd Congressional District of Massachusetts, Congressman Jim McGovern, McGoverning with McGovern. Before we get into some of the more serious political stuff, what was your take on the Dung Kings ad?
Dung Kings! Don't go away, take my heart. Why you dunking me, girl? Why you dunking me? Dung Kings!
There is nobody that I know that likes Dunkin' Donuts more than Congressman Jim McGovern, except possibly Ben Affleck.
How do you like them donuts? I'm so sorry.
You had to see it, but I forgive you.
What did you think of the Super Bowl ad?
You know what? I'm of mixed opinion. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was that great. But anyway, that's just me.
Well, you're in line with Brooke
Dunkin'
Hauser from Northampton, who is the former editor of the Daily Hampshire Gazette, who now writes for the Boston Globe, and she had a hit piece on the viral Dunkin' ad. I thought it was hilarious, and I hate Dunkin'.
I like Dunkin'. It made me smile, but it was fine.
Okay, you're not going to get one of those jumpsuits then, I guess?
I think I'll pass.
You could wear it on the Food Bank March next year.
I could. Oh, maybe I'll rethink this.
Okay, good. Just outside the 413, but in your district, Congressman, in Leominster, FEMA has recommended to deny federal emergency management relief to Leominster after those significant floods of last year. Tell us your take on that decision and what the federal government might be able to do now that FEMA seems to be passing on offering relief to Leominster.
I think it's a stupid decision by FEMA. By the way, people who need relief, it's not just Leominster, there are other communities across the Commonwealth, but they denied it, saying that the claim wasn't big enough. Well, it's huge for a community like Leominster, and it's also huge for Massachusetts. And the deal is that the storms that we are seeing now are changing in where they're concentrated. The storm in Leominster it stayed in one place for an unusually long period of time and flooded Leominster in a way that caused all kinds of damage to infrastructure as well as homes, and rivers overflowed. I mean, we're asking them to reconsider it. I talked to the FEMA director a couple of weeks ago about this, and quite frankly, I'm not impressed with her decision. And I called the White House and made it very clear that this is unconscionable, and they had to get somebody out to Leominster and actually spend some time in the community and observe the damage firsthand. But we're going to fight this. Is
it fightable, or is it simply a math problem here that it's beyond their control?
I think everything's fightable, quite frankly. And if FEMA can't help them, then find somebody who can. But the idea that the response is this is not a big enough claim, or FEMA doesn't focus on things that are this, in their opinion, inconsequential. This is huge for Leominster, and it millions and millions and millions of dollars in damage that, quite frankly, the state cannot absorb, and neither can the community. So we'll see what happens, but we're not done yet.
The big political news story late last week, over the weekend, and even into Jon Stewart's return to The Daily Show has to do with a report, an investigation from Robert Hur, the special counsel, where he did find out that President Biden shouldn't be charged with willfully retaining classified documents, but added to this report language about Biden's at times faulty memory. This, then aggravates this notion that Biden is too old and unfit for office. What's your take on the Hur report and the chatter subsequently that's come out since?
Well, I think it was kind of a political hit job. He's a Republican who I think wanted to do some damage to Biden, and he knew that there was no there in terms of the investigation. So he took this cheap shot at him. But hey, it's Joe Biden. Is not the one who confuses Nancy Pelosi and Nikki Haley. So Joe Biden, is not the guy saying that Russia should invade our NATO allies. So, if you want to talk about somebody who's unstable and unfit, it's the other guy. Do I wish Joe Biden were 10 years younger? Yeah, I wish I were 10 years younger too. But this election is not about a beauty contest, and it's about issues, and it's about our democracy. And so I get it. People are going to chatter, and react to these things. But at the end of the day, we're just going to have to, understand that this election coming up is about our democracy. And the choices we have are Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I'm with Joe Biden, and, I was with him last week at our Democratic Issues Retreat. We had a good conversation. He keeps a schedule that would exhaust any of us. And I think he's doing a good job.
There was an opinion piece in the New York Times last weekend basically saying Biden should run through the gauntlet of primaries, but then at the convention say that he does not want to seek office again, and that let the Democratic National Convention pick a new candidate for president of the United States. Is there any meaningful discussion that anything like that might happen within the Democratic caucus, given that there are people that do have concerns about Biden's age, about Biden's memory, about Biden's elocution, about his ability to, to speak publicly, etc.?
I have not heard any serious conversation about such a scenario, and I also think that there's candidates for president that actually ought to go through primaries. One is because you get vetted and people get to know you better. But I haven't heard anything like that. And look, I don't expect that to happen. But again, I would just have people refocus their attention on what the choices are. It's Joe Biden or it's Donald Trump. I know what a Donald Trump presidency will bring to this country and will do to the world. I mean, I'd vote for a chair over Donald Trump. I think we have to refocus our attention on what's at stake here. I mean, I will tell you, and I'm not exaggerating, the fate of our democracy is at stake, and we can't be distracted by these things. We have to focus in on the issues and what matters and what will make this country stronger and better.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, as we do every Thursday, McGoverning with McGovern. The Republicans last week were unable to successfully impeach Mayorkas. This week, it seems that they got their act together and were able to impeach Mayorkas in response to not liking his job with the border. There was a failed vote on the rules for SALT, which is this tax-related marriage penalty bill. There was a failed attempt to pass a rule on FISA, the Federal Intelligence Surveillance Act, which may or may not be a good thing, depending on how you feel about surveillance and how that act has manifested itself over the years. But in the House Republican caucus, there will be one fewer Republican now that a Democrat will fill George Santos's seat. Does that mean any major changes for your congressional math in the House? Is it a bellwether for souring views on Republicans? What's your take on a Democrat now filling George Santos' seat and the Republicans at least slightly coming together?
Yeah, I do think it's somewhat of a bellwether. I mean, this was a race the Republicans thought they could hold on to. It was George Santos' seat. It's trending Republican more and more. And, not only did Tom Suozzi win, but he won by something like 7 or 8 points. Wasn't even close. And I think I'm listening to some of the reaction of voters who are interviewed when they're going to the polls. One of the things that was brought up over and over again was that they're tired of Republicans who do nothing but complain and they're not interested in solutions. And I may have said this to you before, but I mean, I'm on the Rules Committee, and every bill that comes to the House floor comes from the Rules Committee, every bill of consequence. And the last time the Rules Committee sent a bill to the House floor that was actually signed into law was 9 months ago. These guys are incompetent. They're not fit to govern. They lose not only bills in terms of up or down votes on the floor, they lose rules, which is unheard of. I mean, they control the Rules Committee.
And that's what happened with that SALT bill and the FISA bill, right?
Yeah,
like it was killed before it even was
was
brought to the House, even though they're in control of that committee and in control of the House.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I've just never seen it like this. This is the sixth rule that they lost. This
to themselves.
Unheard of. Yeah, to themselves. Yeah, they're losing their own proposals to even consider bills. I think people are tired of that. People, at the end of the day, I think people just want us to get stuff done. And if that means compromising, then you got to compromise. If that means, not compromising, but you got to stand your ground, so be it. But at the end of the day, they want to see something happen. And this is a majority that just doesn't do anything. All the bills we brought up this week, you even mentioned FISA. I'm glad that is going down because I actually believe in the right to privacy, and I think the bill as it's drafted would compromise that significantly. But all these bills, are reruns. We're like Nick at Night. I mean, it's like we're doing the same things over and over and over again.
Please do not call the Republicans Nick at Night. I love Nick at Night.
Yeah.
That was very
Yeah, well,
formative
I-
in the 90s for me.
Well, this is not only the do-nothing Congress, it's the do-nothing over and over Congress. And it's ridiculous. I think the voters in New York have had enough. The Republicans trying to make the issue of the border, the central theme. Voters saw what happened. I mean, there was an attempt to try to come to a bipartisan compromise, and the Speaker of the House, at the behest of Donald Trump, said, I don't want you to do anything. I don't want the solution. I want a campaign issue. And I think people can see through that, and they're tired of it.
Yeah, you posted a Valentine from the Speaker of the House yesterday. Roses are red, violets are blue. The border deal was crushed because of you. Actually, the White House posted that. You retweeted it.
I just retweeted it. Yeah, I can't take credit for that other than the
I don't know
retweet.
what level of poetry exists in the Biden White House, but you can have that. Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, in your district and then just outside your district, 2 town governing bodies, one in Amherst with the town council and in East Hampton with their town council, are thinking about considering resolutions calling for either a ceasefire release of hostages, a peaceful resolution to the war in Gaza. It looks like that Amherst will vote on it on the 26th. East Hampton, which I know is not in your district, but would be going to your colleague Richie Neal. How important are these local initiatives to persuading federal delegations? Would it be persuasive to you if the Amherst Town Council were to pass anything? Would Congressman Neal be open to hearing about this? And then what's the next step when local governments like Amherst and East Hampton want to get involved in international global politics of this scale?
Well, I do think it matters. I think everything matters. Whether it persuades somebody or not, I think you have to pay attention to what town councils or city councils, vote on in terms of issues like this. Look, I favor a ceasefire, and I want the hostages released. This has to stop. And I think people can be both outraged and horrified by Hamas's brutal and vicious attack against Israel on October 7th, and also condemn the taking of hostages, which is a violation of international law, and also be horrified by the destruction of Gaza and the death toll and the continued bombing and the loss of life of innocent children. And it's horrifying. Speaking up and making your voices heard, I think, is always important. And I think people are focused on what's happening, and they want to do something, and this is an important thing to do. And we just got to figure out a way to not only get a ceasefire, but we need to have a lasting peace here that not only ensures Israel's security, but also guarantees the Palestinians a state that is economically viable, that is their own, that can flourish, and actually give the Palestinians what they have not had for years and years and years, and that is some dignity. And there's a lot that we need to do. I'm trying to get the White House to formally recognize the Palestinian state on its own. I don't think they have to wait. I mean, they have to just acknowledge it. And we're all horrified by what is happening, justifiably so. And the discussion on this is not this or that. It's complicated, but it begins with a ceasefire and getting these hostages released. So I would welcome that.
U.S. Congressman from the 2nd Congressional District of Massachusetts joins us every Thursday. You can send your questions to the Congressman at his office, or you can email us at thefab413@nepm.org, and I'm happy to ask questions on your behalf. Talk to you again next week, Congressman. Thanks so much.
All the best. Thanks.
Later in the show, we'll party like it's the Year of the Dragon, because it's the Year of the Dragon, when we talk with Linda Hill and Cecilia Chen of the Western Massachusetts Chinese Association about their Lunar New Year celebration at Smith Voke this Saturday.
And nothing says Lunar New Year like pork. We'll chat with the butchers at Sutter Meats in Northampton for a local hero spotlight.
Actually, you want more fish than pork on New Year's,
Okay.
but we'll get into that perhaps. But next, the Year of the Horse, the Iron Horse, that is. They are set to reopen on May 15th, and Chris Freeman from the Iron Horse will reveal who the first artists gracing that hollowed stage will be.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM. Chris Freeman, who is the president of the board of the Parlor Room Collective. Oh, no.
Not
Chris-
quite.
right.
Not quite.
Chris-
Almost.
Take 2. Chris Freeman, who is the executive director at the Parlor Room, which is the body doing business as the Iron Horse. Today is the day, Chris, that you said a couple weeks ago you were going to announce the lineup of the first dates at the newly reopened Iron Horse. And while the initial opening date may have changed, we are going to hear some of that lineup today. So tell us when the Iron Horse is slated to open as of now, Chris?
So the first shows that we're announcing are for May 15th. And we expect that we could be open even before that, but given the just unknown nature of construction, we're playing it safe, and we feel really confident that these shows starting on May 15th will happen.
That's a good way to do it. Soft opening, which isn't just fun to say or experience.
Oh, why?
It is a good business practice to get into it. So you'll be up and running for sure by May 15th. And today we're going to hear about some of the artists that will be playing at the Iron Horse. But before, let's tantalize the listeners for a little bit. Who are some of the artists historically who have played this venue that come to mind when you think of the Iron Horse, Chris?
Well, let's just go with the artists that performed at the Grammys this year. Why don't we limit ourselves to that?
Okay.
In which case, I was watching the Grammys and seeing Iron Horse alumni all over the place. Tracy Chapman, for one. Brandi Carlile is another. Sister Strings was on stage with Brandi Carlile and Joni Mitchell.
Amazing.
Performing pretty much that entire Lucius. The whole performance was made up of Iron Horse alums, as well as Wynton Marsalis and Beck and Derek Trucks, and the list can go on for, well, we've been spending many months trying to compile the whole list, but it goes on forever.
That's going to be much welcome, because I love looking up the historical things. And for those who wonder, like, why have they been talking to this Chris Freeman guy about the Iron Horse so much on this show? That's a little glimpse as to why. You're seeing music history be made at the Grammys with the return of Tracy Chapman to the stage, with that tribute to Joni Mitchell that happened. And so many of those people have touch points into our backyard in Northampton because of the Iron Horse. Mm-hmm. And that is about to happen again in mid-May. So Chris Freeman, executive director of the Parlor Room / the Iron Horse, what are the first shows we will expect at the newly reopened, refurbished, better bathroom, better barred Iron Horse Music Hall?
This bit is so chomped. Please rescue it.
The grand opening will be on May 15th with Rachel and Vilray, with special guest Taylor Ashton. So that is Rachel Price of Lake Street Dive, and a side project of Lake Street Dive, doing some really cool retro jazz things.
The Rachel and Vilray project is great. It sounds like it's called from the Great American Songbook, but it's new. It's their own original stuff by and large that Vilray writes, and Rachel Price's voice from Lake Street Dive sings so nicely.
My best friend's boyfriend once nearly cooked a meal. So is a good man real.
I think of it as their cozy project.
I love it. It does feel like a cozy sweater to put on. And Taylor Ashton, Rachel Price's husband, who we were referencing on the show on Friday when we had Sean Rao here, because Taylor Ashton is one of the guests on Sean Rao's Foraging YouTube show.
That's true.
So that is the first show that will re-inaugurate the Iron Horse on May 15th. What else do we expect there, Chris?
We're listing about a dozen shows that are really just this is an initial lineup of shows. It includes some old favorites who have played the Iron Horse countless times. We have soul legend Betty LaVette, who will be coming on June 14th.
Yeah.
We have Aaron McEwen and Spouse, who will be there on May 17th.
Yes.
We have Stephen Kellogg will be there on my birthday on May 18th.
Nice.
And we have Session Americana, Matali Banda with Kamaya Diggs, The Alarm, an 80s hair band. We have some local legends and Winter Pills and the Suitcase Junket. Come August, we'll have some incredible New Orleans music with Tuba Skinny coming. We have Sonny Landreth and Cindy Cash Dollar on the way. And these are just the artists that we've worked out to announce all at once here. So there is a number of other shows that will be coming out. I didn't even list everything that that we'll have on our website, later today. But it's an eclectic mix. We're figuring out kind of the people that understand the history of the room to come in and help us get off to a great start.
Sounds awesome.
I also know that one Khalees Smith's band, Extemper, is slated to play at the Iron Horse as well.
That's true. Yes, with Tisk Tisk Task.
Yeah. Tisk Tisk Tisk. And Sapling, who are out of now Providence, used to be Worcester. They're both art rock bands. They're real fun.
That should be great.
I guess we are also art rock when you think about it. It's hard to figure out what our genre is.
I didn't realize that was your band.
Yeah, that's my band.
That's so great.
We're speaking with Chris Freeman, the executive director of the Parlor Room Collective, which will be operating the Iron Horse, definitely starting on May 15th.
That's not why they booked us, by the way. This is not an inside job.
See, Chris didn't even know Khalees was
I didn't
in the
even
band.
know. It's purely artistic. artistic.
But it is hard to fund the arts in this country, sadly, and that is part of the reason why a nonprofit like the Parlor Room Collective has taken over the Iron Horse. And as such, there are ways to get people to invest in the arts and the mission and vision of the Iron Horse going into the future that are kind of in conjunction with this first batch of shows that are being announced today. Can you talk a little bit about Iron Horse membership, what that means, and what lovers of the arts would receive for being a part of that?
Absolutely. This has been a community project from the very beginning. Really, the opportunity to open the Iron Horse came because of the community enthusiasm and passion that was surrounding the space during the years that it was closed. It's more than just the Iron Horse. It's the whole Parlor Room Collective, which includes the Parlor Room, the Iron Horse, and our Musicians Workshop, which is our educational wing. We offer memberships for all of those. It gets you discounts on every show, access to pre-sales. So these shows that we're announcing now will be on sale on March 5th to Parlor Room members, and we'll have a week of member pre-sale. And then they'll be on sale to the general public March 12th. And that's how all Parlor Room Collective shows will go, is they go on sale to our members for a couple days, and then they get released to the general public. Membership is free if you are on Mass Health or have an EBT card. All you got to do is come to any Parlor Room event or talk to a Parlor Room staff member, and we can get you signed up. Otherwise, you can go to ironhorse.org/memberships, learn about all the different levels of membership. But we really encourage that because it's imperative for our financial stability to have people making these kinds of investments in our community. It just shows that people fund the arts. People are what allow artists to go on tour and play shows. And it's just an amazing thing when we're just out there enriching each other's lives, whether that's as an artist or an audience member. It's what builds these magical moments in these magical places like the Iron Horse.
May 15th, the grand reopening of the Iron Horse Music Hall under the new vision and guidance of the Parlor Room Collective and their executive director, Chris Freeman. As Chris mentioned, the first act on Wednesday, May 15th, Rachel Price and Vilry. He's like Madonna. He only has one name. Rachel and Vilry are coming to play to re-inaugurate that hallowed musical space.
It's going to be great. I'm just generally excited to see it open again. I have a lot of fondness for that place, as much stress as it gave me while I was working there.
I have no idea what you mean as far as stress and fondness.
I'm sure you're not experiencing any of that right now.
Yeah, there's no stress involved in reopening a space that's been closed for 3 years due to pandemic and misuse.
It's been overall a delightful experience. It's been really, really amazing getting to harness the energy of our community to make this place happen. So we're just so grateful to everybody for the encouragement and support in making this happen.
Excellent.
Of course.
Later, we'll get lunar when we talk with Linda Hill and Cecilia Chan of the Western Massachusetts Chinese Association about their Lunar New Year celebration at Smith Voke this Saturday.
Up next, we have the meats, Sutter Meats. We'll take you to meet Terry Ragassa from the local ethical sustainable butcher shop celebrating 10 years in Northampton.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM. I love how you have a sign that says there's no I in team, but there is meat.
That's our motto here.
We are at Sutter Meats on King Street in Northampton. What's your name?
My name is Terry Ragassa. I'm the owner here at Sutter Meats with my wife Susan, who's around here somewhere.
Butchering something in the back. We're here with Phil Corman from CISA, the local hero folks. This table, this butcher block table, is not just cute kitchenware here. This is where all the butchering happens?
It is, yeah. We do all the butchery here. Every week we get the whole animals from our local farms. Today is our pork butchery day. They're doing pigs here from Sage Farm up in Bernardston. We get everything slaughtered at Adams Farm out in Athol. They're the only middleman between us and our farms.
So if we look at the counter over there, you've got all sorts of cuts of meats from all different types of animals and sausages and stuff like that. But I used to, when I worked in downtown Northampton, would come in and you'd have a sandwich of the day.
Yeah, because we do the whole animal. We do not just the cuts you see in there, but all the sausages. We render the fats for cooking. We use the bones for broths. All the different offcuts. We figure out different sandwich specials to make out of. Today, our sandwich is a chopped pastrami sandwich. So we take the breast of a cow and make our own pastrami.
I think I'm getting it.
I remember when you started. Oh, look, here's a pig.
Here comes a pig to the table. A whole half pig.
It's a half a pig. Yeah, so our pigs come in split in half like this. We call these market weight pigs, and they average between 180 pounds to 220 pounds. And we get about, 3 to 4 a week here. So Tyler Sage, our farmer, he went from growing pigs for friends and family maybe about, 6 years ago to now doing almost 200 a year for us.
You're a butcher yourself, right? You teach classes and things like that?
The first few classes that you were teaching filled up so fast it was hard to get into them.
Yeah, they're still pretty popular. We do the pork butchery class once a month, but yeah, I do teach the butchery class.
How did you get into butchery?
My wife and I actually we met in New York City working at Christie's Auction House. She was a graphic designer, and I was a photographer and photo retoucher, and we used to make all of their advertisements and catalogs. After the downturn of the economy was at 2008, they laid off half the staff, including myself. So I found myself needing to find new work, and I had a lot of friends working in the hospitality and restaurant industry in New York, and I really liked cooking, but those hours were murder.
Yeah.
So my whole focus was more on the sourcing of product and trying to bring people closer together to their food sources. I had a friend who was learning butchery in the Hudson Valley of New York, and they invited me up to visit the butcher shop, and they took me on as an apprentice there. Then we decided to, after opening for other people, we decided to try something on our own. So we looked all over the country for places to open. We saw that this area was close to a lot of fantastic farms, a lot of young farmers, and the people who were here were very interested in buying locally. We were actually able to contact CISA, who had already done a lot of market research to see if a butcher shop would work in this area, and they found that it could be sustainable. So we took a lot of the work off of our plate, which is awesome, and we decided to open here based off of the information we got from them.
Phil from CISA, talking with Terry Ragassa from Sutter Meats here on King Street in Northampton.
So I know, Terry, you've been so busy that you haven't even been able to acknowledge it's 10 years in now. It's a full decade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we opened January of 2014.
Phil, your first experience here was a kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, I was coming into the store and a person ahead of me was enthralled and felt like she could not believe that she reached this oasis, and that she had left Brooklyn 5 years ago and was just looking for quality and freshness and local, and Terry and his wife had pulled it off for her. And I think what people don't realize is that even when you're running an amazing small local business for 10 years, there are still so many people who have no idea that you're here. Here you are, so close to downtown Northampton, tremendous parking and back, sandwich specials every day, classes, and still people have not come in the door, so we need them to come in the door.
Well, there are plenty of people that have come in when we've been here, which is great.
How many farms did you start with? How many do you have now?
So we started with, we had 3 farms. Now we've worked with dozens, really. We still have 3 primary farms. It's Austin Brothers in Belchertown, that's our beef. Sage Farm in Bernston, they are our pork farm. And then we have the Thayer family with Splendor View Farm up in Cummington. They do our lamb. And then we were also starting to do something interesting with Black Birch Vineyard in Hatfield, where they have sheep that graze their vineyards to kind of clean up around, so they don't have to use any pesticides. They can really get in between all the vines to clean out and take all the weeds out. But then when they're done doing their job there, they don't have a home, so we're happy to give them a home here in our store.
I mean, we're watching them butcher. Can I talk to your butchers real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. What's your name?
Jake Sorby,
Where are you from?
South Hadley.
What's your name?
Rebecca Morrison,
Where are you from?
Holyoke.
How did you become a butcher?
So I was in the restaurant industry for over 25 years, and the hours were starting to really get to me, and I wanted to do something, closer to the food source, the farms, and everything like that, and came here.
Did you learn on the job? Or?
Yeah, yep.
Because now you got a pro. You had a bone saw out or something, whatever. Was that what that was?
Yeah.
How did you get into butchery?
Same thing. I was in the restaurant industry for a long time.
Is that easier to butcher a pig than a cow, or is there harder animals to butcher than others? Or once you know the basic mechanics of how an animal works, it's kind of basically the same?
Yeah, the size is different. So some things are harder on beef just because it's, more muscle power to rip the, joints apart and stuff like that. Lamb is harder because there's less room for error because everything is just so much smaller. Pigs, my favorite, because you can just zoom right through it and everything seems to fall apart perfectly as it's supposed to.
That's why we start with our butchery class. It's with the pig, because you can apply what you learn from the pig to any other quadruped. So we have in our classes, ambitious home cooks. We have people who are really interested in just sustainability. We have homestead farmers, and then we have a lot of hunters as well.
So they're not bringing in their deer to figure it out. They're learning on like a pig, and then they take it home to their deer or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that there was just a meat relay. Like someone just had ribs in their hand and someone just grabbed the ribs from that hand and kept walking.
They're already in plastic and ready for your purchase.
It's like seamless.
I also love that on your board behind the butcher table here, you've got when Lent is and also a sausage plan.
Sausage plan.
The work is just incredibly physical, and you're lifting weights and you have cold meat working with knives. I'm curious what you do to try to ensure that one arm doesn't go itis on you.
There's one dishwasher who only worked out his left side to compensate for all
Because he was working his right side at work all the time?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think you should never challenge a butcher to an arm wrestling match. I don't care gender at all, or height or weight. You'll always lose.
We do a weekly wine tasting on our show, and we have teetotalers that hate that we taste wine on the radio. And I'm sure that there are vegans and vegetarians listening to this right now that can't believe we've been talking so extensively about cutting up a pig.
We're coming up here to prove that the tofu curtain is not just tofu.
And as you mentioned, Northampton and the greater Northampton area has this reputation for being vegan and vegetarian. Have you worked with people here who have kind of changed their mind about meat and where a sustainable way of doing meat that may have been influential in that?
We do. We have a lot of our customers are people who have been vegans or vegetarians and are trying to make their way back to eating meat for one reason or another. We're actually probably closer in mindset to vegans or vegetarians as you may think. Definitely closer than people who work in the larger farms and more of the commodity farms. We're about the sustainability of the land, the animal welfare, and the utilization of the whole product here. We don't like the idea of any sort of waste. If an animal has been sacrificed for the table, we want to make sure that we use as much of it as we possibly can. We also have a lot of people who are still vegetarian but shop here for their pets, because another part of utilizing everything is to we take a lot of the organs that we get and we will dehydrate them for pet treats. We do a raw pet food mix. We utilize the bones for dog bones or dog treats as well. So there's a lot of offerings here for people even if they don't eat the meat themselves.
You can fire up the bandsaw.
Are you hungry enough to eat a pastrami sandwich?
Yes.
Yep.
Always.
I could split one of those. And also we have something unique that we make here. It's our capicola. It's or gabagool.
You mean gabagool?
Gabagool. Over here.
Gabagool, indeed, yeah. It's not a traditional one in that it's fully cured for several weeks. It is partially cured and then slow roasted. It has all the fantastic flavors you would expect from like a traditional gabagool, and
Nice.
it's one of our more popular deli meats here.
I would love to try it. Where are these being smoked or whatever?
Yeah, everything is smoked here in our shop. I can take you guys on a little tour here if you want to see.
It's a small shop, so you're doing a lot of stuff in this pretty tiny area.
Yeah, people walk in here and they you immediately are hit by the aroma of usually of smoke and of something cooking. We have people always say that we should talk to the Yankee Candle people to have our own branded candle made out of the aroma here in the shop.
That one I might actually burn.
Yeah, I mean, you could just do it here. You have tallow.
Yeah, that's true. We do have the tallow. We do sell actually a tallow candle as well. Tallow bombs made from our fat as well.
You also have a Girl Scout cookie set up here. You've sold how many Girl Scout cookies out of the door of Sutter Meats?
Over 500 and
512 boxes we've ordered.
Susan, you're one of the co-owners. Yeah.
Yes.
And is that like somebody you know's Girl Scout cookie set up there?
That's our daughter Langley, who's 8.
She's gonna be like top Girl Scout in the troop.
I feel like we should mention that in the time that we've been talking, since the pig came out, it is basically done.
And all to the soundtrack of Aretha Franklin, which has been amazing. All meat should be butchered to Aretha Franklin. She sanctifies and blesses it. Now we're going in the back, and so here's where a lot of the ovens and smokers and things are. Yeah, nice.
This is our capicola or gabagool.
Let's get back to that gabagool.
That's made with the the collar of the pig. That's the top of the pork shoulder. So dig into that, as you'll see it has quite like flavors of fennel, a little bit of red pepper.
Oh, so nicely spiced. That's the real deal.
Yeah, it all starts with the good quality pork too, with Tyler's Pigs. Yeah, these are pigs that have been raised outdoors their entire life. He's up on a hillside in Bernardston, just overlooking the Kringle Candle place, and then
maybe they'll make your candle.
Maybe we should talk to them about that. Yeah,
Store full of tallow.
yeah. It's a beautiful location. You know, I would actually like to live there. You know, looking out into Leiden, you know, you can see out to Shelburne. So on top of that, that's your appetizer, and then now we have this is pastrami, which is made from the breast or navel of the cow, brined in say like a pickling solution that we make here, similar to like what you do with corned beef, and then it's smoked here in house, and then we chop it up to put on the sandwich. It's mixed with some caramelized onions we made here, a little bit of sauerkraut, our house-made horseradish mayonnaise, and melted Swiss, and it's all on a fantastic bread that's made from a small bakery out in Florence called Little Bear Bread. He made this just for us. This is a rye ciabatta.
Oh.
The horseradish.
Good stuff. And
With
the
the-
pigs fall out at the beginning, and I could just see the fat and how glistening the pastrami is. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's so good.
We do have a lot of people who shop here from the New York area. I always get excited when I get a phone call from somebody and I can see there's a 212 number or 917. You know, like, all right, this person, they know what they're talking about. And they always come in. It seems like the people from New York always come in and they go straight for the deli case and ask for the pastrami. So far, nobody has been disappointed with it. You see it in their eyes when they take that bite. Like, okay, I'm back in New York.
Amazing. That was super delicious.
Oh my God, yours is gone.
You enjoyed that?
I had a light breakfast.
So what's the best way for people to know what classes are going on, what sandwiches is happening?
Yeah, so the best way is to sign up for our newsletter. You know, there's something new that we're actually working on now that's like a butcher's box, like a monthly club where you can get a curated box of different cuts with some other local items and some prepared items, so you can get once a month here. And with that, you also get discounts in the store, access to members-only classes, a bunch of different things there. And all that information is on our newsletter.
Well, it's been a cut that has gained popularity the more that people have found out about it.
Oh yeah. With pork, there's the fresh version of this capicola. We call it just a copa steak or a capicola steak. In fact, I have somebody coming in tomorrow for 10 of them. So my wife and I, we were in Italy for our honeymoon, but we started in Ischia. We have some of our best friends are from there. They still have a family home there. So we went to stay with them. They took us up to the local butcher, and I asked the guy like what his favorite cut was. And he said, like, without hesitating, capicola.
Oh, this from a slice of gabagool?
I was like, well, no, like, I mean, like a fresh cut, because I only knew of it as the gabagool is like the cured item. He's like, no, let me show you. So he brought out the pork shoulder, cut a couple of fresh steaks off of the copa, gave them to us, and said, go back to your friend's house, get a fire going, moderate heat, salt these, and then put them on there. We're going to cook them for 13 minutes, flipping every minute. And then finish off with a squeeze of lemon. Like 13 minutes is like two sides, so one side's gonna get 6, one side. He's like, just trust me, just do it. So it's like, so we went back to his house, got our fire going, salted up the capicolas, flipped them every minute, finished them with a little bit of lemon, took a bite, and I don't know, it's like looking over the Mediterranean, like something like that, but knees were buckling, like this is the most amazing thing ever. But now for the last 12 years, I've been chasing the Copa Dragon, trying to get that same feeling again. And I told that to people in the class, and we sell out of Copas like right after.
Thanks again to Terry at Sutter Meats in Northampton. Coming up, another Lunar New Year celebration this weekend, this time at Smith Voke in Florence. We'll talk with Linda Hill and Cecilia Chan from the WMA Chinese Association.
And your emails in response to our Word Nerd segment about misheard lyrics and malapropisms. You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, offering solar options, energy security, and solutions for the local community. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. I'm Monty Belmonte.
And I'm Chloe Smith. It's Lunar New Year.
And this Saturday at Smith Vogue in Florence, there will be a day-long celebration of the Year of the Dragon with the Chinese Association of Western Massachusetts.
The Chinese Association of Western Massachusetts was founded about 20 years ago based on an idea that local Chinese immigrant families can celebrate traditional holidays together like they did back at home. Over the years, the celebrations became bigger and more families and communities started to participate.
The association found that celebrating culture, diversity together is not only a great opportunity to teach their kids about their culture and heritage so they can take pride in their identity, but it's also a wonderful way to enhance the connection among different cultures and communities.
Joining us from the Chinese Association of Western Massachusetts is Linda Hill, who is the current president, and the newly elected vice president, Cecilia Chen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Of course.
Congratulations on your recent election.
Thank you.
And we hear you're in charge of food at this event, so we're definitely going to have to pick your brain about that.
This is a giant celebration. This is all day, which is wicked cool. Yeah. What are some of the things that you're going to be? Actually, you know what? I'm going to back up. So, in my understanding, the Lunar New Year basically covers about a 2-week period from the new moon to the full moon. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 15 days, to be exact.
So we're 1 week into it by this weekend. So you're smack dab in the middle of the Lunar New Year celebration.
Absolutely. We're celebrating on the 8th day of the Lunar New Year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so extra lucky.
Yeah, it's supposed to be money. It's like that's a day, it's all about good wealth. So it's great to celebrate.
And it starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at Smith Vogue in Florence and goes all the way through 8 o'clock in the evening. So
yes, correct. But it's in Northampton.
Yeah, Florence is part of Northampton.
Oh.
It's, Technically, they get right. The people who live in Florence get upset if you say they live in Northampton. You have to say
that's very true.
They live in Florence.
Oh,
so,
I'm sorry. I never heard of Florence before.
You've got all sorts of really exciting stuff happening as part of this New Year's celebration that I would be loving to come check out if I wasn't visiting my parents this weekend. It starts out, or one of the things in the show lineup is the Lion Dance, which we talked about last time.
Absolutely.
You were on the show with the Dragon Boat Festival.
Yes.
Tell us, if people didn't hear that, about the Lion Dance and what's important about that celebration.
Yeah, that's a major thing. It's a traditional Chinese dance that's really signify a great time of celebration. So it's a must-have. But at our event, not only you're gonna watch the wonderful lion dance team, they are like all practicing kung fu, like wushu. So they are very, very masters and very skilled at this. But also we actually have a lion dance and dragon dance you can experience yourself. So the kids and mom and dad can really have all the props up there and learn themselves and get photo ops.
Oh, man.
So that's what 2 to 5 is for. We have multiple hands-on educational cultural experience for a whole family to enjoy, and so we really looking forward to have everyone, not just, watch some programs or, everything is you can experience yourself.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Can you tell us about the Grand Master who's going to be doing the lion dance, and maybe they're helping you out learn a little bit about it?
Oh, actually, they are close to Boston. We wanted to use a local one, but it's because of Chinese New Year season, everybody's booked.
Yeah.
And so even though our focus is really on local featuring Western Mass and this one, but we are very lucky because one of the people on our board have a Master Hu, and he's 80 years old. He has a lot of apprentice students, and this is one of those great students who actually start off himself after a kung fu place, and they're gonna do some things that I don't know. It's gonna be a feast to watch. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
it's very special.
What are some of the other things that people can learn? You've got a whole map of things that are available for people to participate in. There's not just learning the lion dance and the dragon dance, but there's paper cutting and there's calligraphy. You've got yo-yo demonstrations and more. So what are some of the other things that people could participate in and learn?
Yes, there's a lot. And you have a map in front of you?
I do. Yes, we do, actually. It's a cute map.
Yeah, and we have a great marketing person, and she loves making the designs. And Dee, I'm shouting out to you if you're listening. Great job, girl. And we have many activities that's fun for families to participate. Like besides the line dancing, there's a chess, the specific Chinese chess you can play and to learn how, they play. And we have a tea room, which is cool for parents. We're thinking like all the kids getting so excited. So we divided all the activity into 3 rooms. One is a tea room where it's quiet and play all the Zen music. So you can go in there and sip your tea and be quiet and just, the kids are taken care of. We have in a closed space in the school area. So, and then we have like the arts and crafts and the painting room, they do calligraphy, painting. It's relatively quiet, but there will be talking, right? The kids, and the families. And then we have a gym where we have all this activity, physical. You kind of play ping pong, you can do the line dance, you do the you learn all the things. And we have a rest area for parents too, so they can sit down, watch their kids play. So there's a lot of things going on.
I know, and I would be in that gym watching the wushu demo by the Chinese Kung Fu Wushu Academy of Chicopee. That's so up my alley.
Yes.
I can't believe
they do a great job. And we've been having them. Yeah. They do a great job. They have 21 kids going to perform, not kids and adults.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Now, we're speaking with Linda Hill, the president of the Chinese Association of Western Mass, and the newly inaugurated vice president, Cecilia Chan, who's in charge of the food. And
we have to talk about the food because food is such a big part of Lunar New Year. So what are some of the things that you really want to have that are on your menu that will help you have a better year?
Well, there's a lot of traditional Chinese food. The food is provided by a couple of local restaurants in Northampton and Florence area. Most of the food is significant to represent what we would normally eat when we're back in China or wherever you come from, Far East, to celebrate Chinese New Year. This year, we actually added a very significant dessert that I love, and it's very significant because I remember that when I was little. I've been here for a long time. I was here when I was 8, and so I didn't really grow up with a lot of tradition, but the only thing I really remember is what we call a sweet sesame ball. And it's made with this sticky rice flour, and the inside is with red bean paste, and the outside is rolled with the sesame. It is so delicious, So this year is a new item that we put on the menu, and it's significant. It's round, so it's significant. It's being completed in your life.
Together.
Together. Yep.
But there's also dumplings, and
yes.
I'm so happy to see fish on this menu because fish is actually like a really big thing for wealth and for health also. And of course, noodles for a long life.
Long life.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep.
Fish means extra. So every year, if you have extra, that's a successful year. I'm going to show you. Right here.
Oh, you're wearing a red shirt with a fish on it?
Yeah.
Two fish on it.
That's a symbol, lucky symbol for Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
That's why you eat fish.
It's
on a red shirt, no less.
Yes.
No less.
Awesome. Yeah. Red wards off the evil, right?
Yes, absolutely. We encourage our families to wear red and holiday, traditional clothing, and they will win. They will be drawn into a raffle to win a gift card.
Right.
Like we have 7 gift cards to give out for people who dressed up.
Ooh,
very nice.
Yep.
Nice. It's the Golden Dragon Blessings Community Banquet, which is part of this all-day celebration from the Chinese Association of Western Mass this Saturday, starting at 2 o'clock at Smith Vocational and Agricultural High School in Florence/Northampton, with all of these wonderful live performances, all of this great food, all of these great activities. It seems so exciting. Thank you both so much for coming in today to tell us about it. Linda Hill and Cecilia Chan, the president and vice president, respectively, of the Chinese Association of Western Mass. Thank you.
Thank you for
so much
inviting us.
for having us.
I can't wait to have more extra fun for you.
Yeah, I know. Learn some Kung Fu from me and bring it back. I can't wait to,
It's sold out.
Yeah, no more tickets.
Okay, good. That's a great problem to have. Right. Friday on the Fabulous 413, we get to talk to a genius certified by the MacArthur Foundation and everything local author Kelly Link's first novel, The Book of Love, was just released. this week, and we'll chat with her all about bookstores, short form versus long form, and what it's like to have your genius recognized.
We'll also head to a brand new location for the Tina Turner Memorial Wine Thunderdome when we visit Tip Top Wine Shop in East Hampton.
And for Live Music Friday, a little chamber music for What Ails You with the Tiny Glass Tavern, who'll be performing at 33 Holly tomorrow night. We leave you with the artists who will be reopening the Iron Horse on May 15th, Rachel and Vilry. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. We'll see you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.
But